All right, well, today we are diving into tearing apart the K-Swap Cefiro build. I was holding off on this. I wanted to get some more work done on the turbo truck, but it's getting worse by the day. This fire extinguisher stuff just starts corroding everything, and I thought I had got it pretty well cleaned up, but clearly not enough. So we need to jump on this. We need to get this thing out. If you didn't see what happened, basically, long story short, this whole time the car's been done, the wastegate fire ring wasn't right. So the car made full boost at like 4,500 RPM, 4,800 RPM. Well, I fixed the fire ring and it went from making full boost there to making full boost around 3,400 RPM. Much lower, meaning it makes a lot more low end torque. We tried to pull some torque out of it with cam timing and so on and so forth, but it was still night and day torqueier from the way it had been running for 7, 8, 9 events. First event out, ripping it on the oval, it slung a rod through the block. And that is the one weak point of the stock bottom end on the K series is the rods when it comes to low end torque. People make 600 plus on stock K series, but they do it with bigger turbos and they do it up top. It's a lot of load on an engine when you're making that much boost in cylinder pressure down low in the RPM range. So, I mean, that was something I'd been worried about from day one, and it finally happened. And you know, honestly, once I got this car running and sorted and started using it, I just instantly regretted not doing a rods pistons motor. You know, I was doing it on the cheap, you know, just $800 motor, boom, slap it in, don't do anything to it. It was a cool proof of concept, but I wanted to be able to lean on it more. The motor makes power so easily, and it just killed me to turn it down. And I got greedy also. I kept turning it up, and we were on like 16, 18 pounds that day it blew up. So, I mean, that could have been it as well. Could have been a few things. We need to figure out what it is because we are going to be putting a built motor in it, but we want to make sure we're for sure know what the problem was before we do that so we don't put another motor in and explode that one as well. So that is the name of the game. We need to get the motor out, do some detective work, and clean all this up. But we did find, where did I put it? Oh, found a piston ring and an oil scrubber ring laying right down in here. So we've got holes in the block. How many? How much is damaged? How much wiring's good? All of that is what we need to find out when we pull this thing apart. So enough jibber jabber. Let's get to work. There we go. All right, we got this thing about ready to come out. It's crazy once you take off the V-mount setup how much room there is. It does have me thinking about going to radiator and front mount. I just hate having such long, elaborate piping to the front mount. I don't know. I already have what I have. We'll see. We'll see. It's a thought. It is a thought because we're going to have to redo some of this. There's definitely more damage from the dry chem or whatever was in the fire extinguisher and from the fire itself than I thought. The harness back here, pretty melty. So we're gonna have to section that. And it'll be nice though to put a connector there because that's like the only thing keeping the harness from coming out easily because this wiring routes through the fender and then up to the battery area here. We're letting the rest of the oil drain. Whew, that was a lot of oil. That thing is like full now. And I think it's just trans mount, motor mount. We should be able to yank this thing on out of here. Get this mess cleaned up. All right, engine's out. Wasn't too bad, probably an hour and a half, 2 hours. You can see all the fire dust stuff. There's no way we'd clean this all off if we weren't replacing the engine, or no way we'd get it all cleaned off. So we need to pull the trans off, try to get this thing up on the engine stand so we can tear it apart. But you can probably see, maybe you won't be able to. Can you see that? Oh man, you can't really see it. You can kind of see it, hole in the block with a rod dangling out. So for all the people who said it wasn't blown up, no, she's blown up. She's a little blown up, let me tell you.
You want the bigger one?
No, this is fine. This is the big one for 3/8. I don't think you take all the bolts out. Yeah, a lot of chunks. It just kind of blew its guts out, more or less. But we got the bay cleaned up. Like I said, there's some decisions to make here. We might be getting a real crazy motor and a bigger turbo, and in that case we might need a bigger intercooler. It might change things up. I don't know, but we're not going to get into that right now. It's time to dive into this thing and see what the damage was. I'm hoping my head's still all right. If we get that other engine, it won't be a big deal, but I would like to keep my head and put another motor together. Pan might be effed. I don't know yet, so we'll figure that out. But yeah, anyway, enough jibber jabber. Let's dive into this thing, start stripping stuff, cleaning stuff, and it is kind of fun to check out the carnage, even though it's my carnage. It's kind of satisfying to see how bad it is. All right, boys, moment of truth here. Oh, jeez. Okay, well, pause, and then moment of truth. It's just probably the dowel.
Yeah. Okay. No peeking.
Oh, let's set it down. Let me get that. Where's that magnet? Right there. Don't even look. Don't look yet.
Blocker head first.
We're gonna look at the head first. No peeking.
Okay.
You're not allowed to peek. We gotta get these out so we don't lose them before we get excited. Look at the carnage. Oh. She is not okay. She is not okay.
You gotta get everybody over here.
Oh, guys, man. I was hoping at least the head was alright. She is not okay. Not okay. Oh, man. Smushed the spark plug. Oh, it's cylinder 2. I mean, it's cylinder 2 that went kaboom. Oh, my Lord. Dude. Do you see that?
Yes.
Wow. The rod. Do you see what the rod? So all the other cylinders are alright.
It's like soup. Piston rod soup. And then, oh, I still gotta get this off. So
we gotta take this off so you can get a better look at the block hole. Hopefully the pan's good, but yeah, I would say the engine is blown. You can see one hole there. Ah, man, I was really hoping the head was good, but when that piston came off, I mean, man, that sucks because this is all upgraded valves and valve springs. Now, obviously, we can save the valve springs and probably most of the valves, but I would assume the head itself is potentially toast. It might just, maybe it could just take some new valves. I kind of doubt it. There you go.
Alright. Hello.
Went through the baffle. I was thinking I'd need a new one of those at least. Jeez, dude. Wow. Talk about some carnage. What happens when your motor lets go at 8,200 RPM?
Oh, wow. I see the oil pan now.
You can see straight through. Look at that. You can see the pan rail here for the upper oil pan, and then it looks like our actual oil pan might have got smackadoodled, and then the baffle down there definitely got tore through, so we'll have to get the pan off and see. But man, this thing about split in half, dude. That's pretty wild. Let's see if we can get the, yeah.
You're not wrong.
Some of the engine falling out, no big deal. See, this is why I had talked about it when we figured out the boost issue. The car was making low end torque. I was like, it might blow up now because it's got a lot of low end torque, and the stock K series rods don't like that. So I was thinking about a built bottom end, and I was like, man, I really want to get cracking on this sooner than later because, yeah, if the engine fails, same difference, kinda. But when you let stuff go till it fails, you end up breaking, you generally end up breaking a lot more stuff. So we broke the pan, obviously the block, we broke the head, burnt some wiring, burnt some other stuff. Like, it's not just as simple as replace the motor. It becomes a lot more expensive and time consuming than just, oh, run it till it pops, throw another motor in there. Now, obviously this one popped in pretty spectacular fashion, but that's, all I'm getting at is, that mentality works and it's fine, but sometimes it costs you a lot more in the end. Now this, I don't think oil starvation was a problem. We'll have to pull the rods off, but the bearing feels absolutely mint on this rod that just broke in half. But like it feels brand new. No issues whatsoever. So I don't see that being oil starvation. It's just, I mean, that's a pretty weak baby little rod when you think about it. The rod just broke in half. I mean, the rod bolts even held on. There's some more engine down there. All right, I'm gonna quit jibber jabber. Let's flip this thing, pull the pan. Wait to dump a bunch of oil. Oh, jeez.
I just saw that.
Well, we really killed her. No one can say we didn't push her hard. All right, well, you can already see. And got beat. I was really hoping the pan was salvageable. Because I think Toge Factory has a new design that I'd like to try. I was hoping we had one to get us by. Oh. You gotta kind of snake it. Yeah, like that. Holy, wow. Wowzers. I mean, we could probably fix that pan. Dang. That's wild looking, dude. Take a look, friends. Just cut it right in half. Looks like my oil pump's okay. Oh, I mean, there's some junk all over it. But I think the pump itself's okay. We'll have to get a new baffle. But yeah, there's a piece of piston watch in there. There's a wrist pin. Oh, there goes the wrist pin. I can probably pull it out through the hole in the block. Now it's a two-piece baffle kit.
Oh, wow.
Literally right in half. That's gonna go on the wall for sure. That's definitely a good wall ornament. That's how it should be. This part part's always annoying too. Oh yeah, look at that bearing. Tell me this was oil starvation. Someone tell me that was oil starvation. And the bearing looks brand freaking new. Like, that's a new bearing, you know?
And that's used engine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's an engine with, I don't even remember how many miles on it, but
60,000 kilometers always.
probably exactly 60,000 kilometers. Isn't that what they all are?
Yep.
That's where they pull them at, no matter what. 60,000. Oh, I see why.
Oh, hello.
I gotta figure out how to get this one apart though. Alright, well, we got the broken rod off and the bearings look fine. There's a little bit of scoring on this one, but I think it's pretty safe to conclude. I mean, the crank looks fine. This wasn't a oil pressure issue. I mean, this thing did get smoked, but I don't think this was an oil pressure issue. Not at all. I'm gonna pull the rest of them out, but I have a feeling they're all gonna be fine. I mean, the crank I can spin over almost by hand, not quite. Yep, that one looks mint. All right, well, here's where we stand. Block pretty much split in half. I think if we take the crank out and drop this thing on the ground, it would break in half. The only thing holding it together that's cracked all the way through is the sleeve. The sleeve is the only thing left of structure. And it's pretty much above the sleeve support. So anyway, block toast, obviously. Crank's good, bearings are good. You know, all the bearings looked great. All in all, I do not think this was an oil pressure problem. If it was, I would think we'd see a lot more scoring on the bearings. The one that did let go had a little bit of scoring on it, but I think that probably had to do with it spinning around and slapping around after it broke and like warped. So anyway, head, I mean, all the valve springs are good and stuff. The casting might be good, but as I said, valves toast, all of them. So, I mean, if the head was fixable, that would be great. I'd like to see if we could get it fixed, you know, just some new valves, some new guides in that hole, and keep the head, not have to build a new head. These are all Faria valves and valve springs. I did new valves, upgraded valves when I built the head because I wanted to be able to rev it before I realized that revving it was really, the limiting factor was the rods. So here's the other half of the broken boy. Thing just let go. Just split in half. So anyway, that's the damage. Obviously, a lot of the stuff's still good. Cams are still good. 50-degree VTC gear, VTEC system, oil pump. I'm going to take apart, clean out, inspect thoroughly, but we are going to need to reuse that. Point is, we need to start cleaning up our mess. Very, very big mess. Dust on everything. All that stuff corrodes. I mean, you can see the downpipe, the manifold's coated in it. So I need to start cleaning. I'm going to start with the engine bay, get this thing pushed back, taken apart a little more, and start cleaning this and see what we can get out of it. Because I want to paint this while the engine's out as well. So enough jibber jabber. Let's get to work. All right, so getting everything cleaned up over here. I've just been pressure washing it. We're gonna have to do some serious scrubbing on the downpipe, the manifold, the exhaust, but that's Josue's specialty. He's really good at cleaning stuff. I am not. I am too impatient. If it's not coming out real quick, I get impatient and I give up. So we're gonna wait on Josue for that part of the project, but we gotten everything decently cleaned up a little easier than I thought. I will say that's probably the biggest bummer of this all, is seeing all this fab work that I put dozens, if not 100 hours into just getting caked in fire extinguisher dust and oil and burned and crispy, and that was kind of rough. Hopefully we can get it all cleaned up and we can close to mint again. We'll see. I got the bay pretty well cleaned up. There's a little bit of dust I need to hit there. You can't really tell what you missed till you let it dry. But overall, I think we got most of the dust out. Probably have to scrub on this a little bit, but we are going to be painting the bay. The plan was to figure out the car, sort it out, make any changes, and then paint the bay. So we didn't paint it and then cut into it and so on and so forth. So I think we're pretty sorted on what we're gonna do, and it's time to paint the bay. So I normally don't like to steal parts from a project, especially when I'm trying to get back up and running quick, because it'll snowball into now you gotta buy a ton of parts for it. But one thing I am gonna steal is the battery. So I bought this battery on a whim, hoping it would work. It's a tiny little excess power AGM. It's heavy though, it's like 25 pounds. This thing rips. This thing works incredibly well. Never had trouble starting the car. So I've wanted to do this same battery in the Pulsar here. So we are taking this to the Dragon in a few days. And one of the biggest things I need to sort out is the battery situation. So as you can see, it's not up here. It was poorly relocated to the back. And the problem is there's nowhere to mount it back here. Under this is all, you know, the toolkit for the spare tire. You got the spare tire. There's no just solid place where you can mount a battery box. So the thing just flops around. You can't take a corner fast because it just goes flying across the car. It's one thing that's driven me nuts for a while. And we're finally gonna change that. We're gonna steal the battery box out of this car and the battery, and we're gonna put it up here, ideally, somewhere in this corner. Now, I did test fit this a while ago, and it was a little tight to the intercooler piping and stuff, so we might have to make some changes, but I'm hoping it'll be reasonably plug and play. And that'll be a big issue to sort out with this. Past that, really just the oil change, and hopefully she's good to go get snot beat out of her in the mountains. So, all right, I got the battery box just set in here. Fits pretty good in this location, this battery size. I did have to unbolt this slipper valve, but I'm not using it anyway. I don't have a union and don't feel like rebleeding the clutch right now. So we'll just zip tie that out of the way for now until we can just take it out entirely. We have no use for that. You can see kind of the dilemma with the intercooler pipe. It's not even in the coupler yet, and we're just about touching. So I'm gonna try to just add, you know, like a couple inches to it. See if I can get it up just high enough to clear. Hopefully it'll still clear the hood. So, you know the drill. Enough jibber jabber. Let's get back to work. Well, first, Los Juanito is here, and he is getting the manifold cleaned up with some steel wool. It has already come back to life compared to before. Look at that, dude. It's looking good. It's looking better than it was. It was bad, so it looks like we should be able to save all the stainless stuff, which I didn't make the manifold, but I made everything else, and I'd like for it to still look nice. So he's good at this. I'm not, like I said. All right, hopefully this weld's halfway decent. I went ahead and bead rolled this little piece. This piece is like literally the perfect size to do what we need to do. I checked and the hood shuts. We're all good, but this is not the cleanest thing I've ever welded. Battery relocated. I just got to hook up. This power wire is good. It'll clear. It'll make it there. This one will not. So I'm going to have to extend this one. I think that's down to the starter. And then just make a simple ground cable. Probably run it either to there or to there. clean the paint off, and then we should be good to go. Battery front mount. I've been putting this off forever because I was gonna wait till I did the bigger turbo because I'm gonna have to change this pipe up some. I'm gonna have to change the intake up some, and I was like, oh, I'll just do it then, do it all at the same time. But Jose reminded me, you know, you're going to the Dragon, you can't really afford to have a battery flying around. I was like, you are right, sir. We got to do something about this. So, oh, very satisfying. And I'll just order another one of these for the Cefiro. We'll build a little bit different bracket for it since we're gonna be moving it anyway. But all in all, I'm very happy with that. I like front batteries. Rear batteries are so silly in a street car. It's just they always get in the way. And you got to run power wires front to back. I still got to pull that freaking length of wire out. To me, this is the way to go. But anyway, I'm jibber jabbering. Let's see how Josue's getting on. He's been cleaning. Look at that. Beautiful. Packing. We're packing.
Got the valve cover too.
Oh, yeah? Oh, wow.
Looks decent.
Dude, it looks good. It looks brand new.
That's the good side.
Yeah, but still, even the bad side, dude. Look at that. Oh, that makes me so happy that he saved the valve cover. The exhaust looks good. Like, it's kind of gross from the heat, but he got all of the fire stuff off of it. Same with the manifold. Like, they all look back to where they were before the fire, which that makes me really happy. Intake manifold's good. That's all cleaned out. Wow. Dude, like I said, Jose was the man for this job. I would have given up a while ago. But he got everything clean. So we're just packing away, you know, what we can fit in a tote and just trying to keep everything organized. I'll finish up the Pulsar tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and end it out here. Crazy K-Series carnage, but the car's gonna come back better than ever. I am super excited for what's to come if this all pans out with this motor. It is gonna be an absurd car, way over the top, but it'll be real cool though. So anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.